Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Mindful Place Summit. Today we have Jodi Derkson, and she is a BC certified teacher with over 15 years of professional teaching experience in the public and private school system. Jodi holds a Bachelor's of Arts in Communication from McGill University and a Bachelor of Education in English and Drama and a Master's of Education in Curriculum and Instruction Planning from UBC. She founded Imperative Education in 2012 and gives workshops live and virtual on anti-bullying, mindfulness, mindful communication, social and emotional learning, and community building. Jodi is committed to providing teachers and students with practical and realistic tools that they can use when they need it the most in order to facilitate positive societal change. So welcome, Jodi. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you, Crystal. I am so pleased to be here. I love talking to you.
I like chatting with you too. So I'm really intrigued about our conversation today and really curious around the point on how can mindfulness help bully the bully or the victim and how that works together.
Okay, so what mindfulness really does, think about mindful, that the mind is full of all sorts of stuff, and unless we take a moment to stop and look, we're not going to see what's going on in our thoughts, right? And our reactivity to any given situation, right? A lot of what our behavior is, it comes from our subconscious, right? And so what mindfulness does when you stop and you breathe and you gaze inward with a lot of courage, it takes a lot of courage to do it, and the will to know yourself, well, when you do that, then stuff starts to come up from your subconscious. It could be emotions, it could be little pictures, an image of a kid when you were younger who treated you a certain way, a parent who said this thing to you, it really triggers you. And then here you have someone in front of you now in a moment, obviously not when you're practicing, but like in your daily life, because you are more knowledgeable about yourself, you are able to take a step away from your reactivity, go, hey, what's this? And then maybe change, you know? So that is the toughest thing, to get the kid or the adult, think about it, or any of us, to stop and take a moment before reacting to any situation. Because we're so afraid of silence. We're so afraid of just standing still. We're afraid of the emotions. We don't want them. We want them to go away, and then we just do our habitual reactivity. So it might be like, no, I didn't, or, and really emotional. Now, the bully, usually really enjoys a reaction. When they get a reaction from you, they succeed. They did it, And so that's what they want. So when you are being targeted, if you can just go, I just train in different ways, but mainly the mindfulness gives you a chance to take a pause before reacting. And then when I train kids, I train them in what does not work, reactivity-wise. Don't throw an insult back. Don't get totally angry, and don't cower. So let's just fake it till we make it, shoulders back, blah, 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 and just take a moment and look at the person. Silence and looking has more power than anyone would ever know, but it takes all the courage in the world, right? Because to not go, F you, or, and your voice starts getting high, and right then you're kind of like victim. Mm-hmm. As far as the bully, here they are. Maybe they're not proud of themselves, the way they behave. Maybe at the end of the day, when they look at themselves in the mirror, they go, oh, I don't know why I am like this, why I get off on being mean, and I don't think this is the kind of person I want to be. And it could happen. It could happen that they change. Some don't change, and they become the adult a-holes, pardon my language, but you know what I mean? Yes. And so they could end up just being, and there are those who just end up not being nice in life. And so those would just go, okay, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for you, But those who do want to change and they go, I have the habit of putting people down. It feels good. I realize it does. I don't like that part of me. I'd like to change. Fine. Let's start breathing. Let's start noticing. Let's start realizing the triggers in our life and observing with courage. And then let's notice the moments where we usually would put someone down and stop ourselves right before and shut up. That's change. And that's how I hope I explained it, but that's how mindfulness for me anyway, helps me to just take a step from my reactivity.
Absolutely. When you're speaking, I reference my parenting. When my youngest is telling me what's happening at camp, I get very, and then you can hear, my partner, well, get in his face and give him a little shove. I'm like, well, that's not, so you've got one parent saying like, use the physical, the other parent saying like, stand up for yourself, but never once thought to just stop and stand in your power and be silent for a minute.
Yeah. And when a kid could look someone in the eyes and just like, without, and you're faking it because you're scared. You're scared of this person. They hold more power than you. They do. Yeah. But you have to take your power back.
Totally.
Now, your husband, that's one way. And you know what? I'll be honest, Crystal. People are not going to like this. If someone's punching you and hitting you, I mean,
for sure.
At some point, you just push them back. Put your hands up. Don't touch me again.
Mm-hmm. But you're also standing in your power to say
you are. You are. There's ways to do it, but then if they keep on doing it, I mean, a lot of people have told me, because a lot of adults, when I say I'm in the bullying business, they tell me about their experiences. And I tell you, this is something people do not forget. For the rest of their lives, they do not forget this bullying stuff. That's why it's so important, because it really stays with you. And it causes you to behave in certain ways, relationship-wise, leading into your death, unless you really look at it, right? And some people say, I punched him once, he was down, and that was it. Never got bullied again. Crystal, I don't like violence, but I think sometimes if that's what the guy needs, I don't know.
My son came home and we talked about it, and he said, you know what, Mommy, that boy's really hurting. And he had empathy for him. And I said, well, why is he really hurting? And he shared a story that the boy told him, because they're friends some days and some days they aren't. It just depends on this little boy's mood, right? But my son picks up on some of the behaviors. So we talk about it. And he shared with me that this little boy's father had passed. So my son had so much empathy for this child, even though this child was treating him poorly. And he was feeling this like emotional, I would say like tornado, because even though my son was like, oh, this kid's treating me like crap, he had that empathy to understand why this child was doing what he was doing. And so I spoke to the educators there and I said, I'm really working on my son finding his voice. So if there is a conversation that's happening between the two of them and my son comes to you because he's unable to resolve it, I would like you to facilitate a conversation where my son can tell that boy how he feels. And I want him to find his voice in a safe place where it's facilitated. Because I thought, you know what, this is now coming into a whole new level of understanding why the behavior is happening, but giving my son that power to be guided with protection, so to speak, by the caregivers to really stand in his power to find his voice. And, there hasn't really been a situation since, but I'm kind of, just waiting for it, because I know it's an opportunity for growth and for him to truly find that voice inside of him. But how beautiful is that to see that learning of empathy, even though that person's not treating him very nicely.
You know what? I would be so proud of your son. For one, this is one friendship in a long line of friendships. And the most important thing is that your son is seeing beyond the behavior and the words and seeing with his heart. I mean, this stuff. Like when I was teaching high school drama, parents would come to me and say, my kid not doing well in math. They'd be in tears by the time they came to me, and I'd say, I want to say something about your kid. They might not be doing well in math, but they are one of the kindest people I know. And that it's almost like it can't be taught, but I think it can be taught. I do believe it can be taught, because the feelings, you have to feel the feeling of what it feels like to be compassionate, and how much better it feels than being mean and pushing people away. And so and parents would be like weeping in gratitude to me, because they were like, "You're the only teacher." I said, "Seriously, your kid is a wonderful person." And you know, the soft skills in life, I don't even like the word for it, soft skills, because I think it's the most important skills, right? Of seeing beyond the words, seeing beyond the actions to the person and their experience, to understand other people's stories, to then go, oh, let me understand why they are the way they are. And then coming forth with kindness, but we do come first. We do, and I know people get mad, no, to be compassionate, but we are, but compassionate to yourself first. And if you're being treated like crap, that's not fair either. So this is great. And what I would say to your son now is, the next time they're hanging out, when the kid is really nice, go, hey, I really like you like this. For your son to take a moment and just notice. So what you're trying to do is, just like training dogs, kids hate when I say this, just like training dogs, positive affirmation, positive rewards really, really pay in dividends in the future. Because when I say to a kid, thank you for not breaking his pencil today. What great control you had. And then they go, oh, instead of being noticed for negative, now I'm noticed for positive. So when this kid is noticed for positive, recognized for the positive, he's going to want that more. So I'd say, while things are good, like when you're walking your dog and your dog is behaving, you go, good, 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 right? That way they go, oh, so this is good, so I should do this more. So same with kids. When you go, I'm really liking the way you just handled that. Excellent. And then, if your kid says, we're having a really good time today, and I'm having a really good time with you, and I like when you're kinder to me. So I just want you to know that I'm really appreciative of this. The kid might go, okay, whatever, and feel all weird, push it away, but inside it's going to resonate, it's going to stay. And that could really improve their friendship. So I'd say that would help the kids. Like, knowing the background here, amazing.
Yeah. When it's interesting to see, even when I come for pickup, the educators are always on this other child, directing him, or don't do this or don't do this. So you're right. He probably doesn't receive a lot of that positive reinforcement. And it might just be what he needs to feel that inside, to recognize that that's a good feeling. And maybe I should do a little bit more of it. That's beautiful. I'm like, look at this. I got my next steps. Thanks.
Yeah. It's step by step, right? And then the next time he's treating your son in a mean way, go, ooh, what happened to the friend I knew? What happened to the other, Josh? Let's just say his name is Josh. What happened to the other Josh? I miss him. So your son doesn't take it personally and understands Josh is he's trying to have an outlet for his fear, for his sadness. And I think your son knows that. So now your son has to try not to feel bad from it. And in that moment go, wait, what happened to the other Josh? I want him back. Absolutely. And be cool. Be super cool about it. Because then the guy will go, oh, it's not working. My dominance, my assertion, so that it feels like I have power in my life, this isn't the way anymore. I'm going to have more power by being kinder.
Absolutely. So beautiful. Why is it important to teach young people how to stop when they react?
Because it feels bad when you make a mistake. It feels bad when you hurt people. It feels, you're not proud of yourself. And we could all learn more about ourselves when we stop and gaze inward. And we don't want to. We want to keep going, right? And we do not want to look inside, because we are afraid of what we're going to find. What if we don't like parts of ourselves? For me, it's to a point where I'm like, when can I stop already? When am I going to be good enough? When am I going to be perfect? When am I going to be love worthy? When am I going to be the person I dream of being, that I've been trying to be since I was 18 years old, when I had a giant epiphany of the work I needed to do on myself to become a better person? I cannot tell you how challenging it is. So I have to start. So I want kids to start at a young age, because this is a lifetime of work, of observing what you came into this world with, right? We're born with a certain physical and emotional and personality makeup, right? Like genetically, that turns us into the person we are. And this means we react in ways we go, what the hell? Where did that come from? A second ago, I was okay. What just happened? So then you have to, if you want to better yourself, listen, if you don't want to better yourself, move on, you know, and keep on, you know, pushing it down and pushing it down. But at some point, it's going to rear its ugly head, and you're going to realize, oh, there's so much I need to look at. So I think teaching kids at a younger age to just know themselves, to see their flaws, to notice their habits of communication, habits of behavior, and to then stop and say, in this moment, I can change that. And me changing it doesn't mean I'm a bad person for being this way in the first place. I'm not good or bad, or I'm human. And to work on myself is how I'm going to have the life I want, you know, have the friends I want, have the relationships I want. And the first relationship is with yourself. And bullying is a relationship issue. So it starts with ourselves. So understand, it's not your fault that you react this way. But it's your fault if you don't stop to look at it and try to change. That's your fault. And so this needs to be taught, right? And we need to practice it. And I'll have kids go, you know, just practice, stop. Take a deep breath, right? And then bring that stress level down, right? The vagus nerve, you know, let's just calm ourselves down. Now we could look at it. Okay, usually I would swear at this point, swear at someone. What if I don't? Just watch. What if I just don't? Let's see. And then you start to change for the better. And then you look at yourself at the end of the day, you go, I did it. I did it. I conquered that little tiny part of my personality, because believe me, there's a million more, right? And to not be afraid of it, because I know personally when I make a mistake and I hurt someone and I say something mean, or I'm asserting my power over someone, and I do it, even though I teach it not to do that, I do it. So when that happens, I feel shame, and I recognize that shame is my ego. Who do I think I am? Did I think I was going to be perfect? I think I was going to coast through life always being perfect? Because I look at these people who are just nicer than me, and there are many. And I go, God, it comes so naturally to them. So then I have to really work on it for myself, you know, because I don't want to be that. So there's so many facets, but if we could teach kids at a younger age that learning about yourself is the most important thing, more important than any grades could ever be, is self-knowledge and the ability to, with courage, change yourself, right? For example, I used to never think about walking into a group, standing there, taking the stage, right, the attention of everybody, getting a laugh, and not even noticing somebody was in the middle of talking. I walked into something where somebody was talking, other people were listening, they had the stage, and then I come in and I might even put my back to that person. And that is rude. So I didn't know that, because I jump into social scenarios and I love an audience. I know that about me. That's an ego thing too. So now I'm like hyper alert and aware, and just walk in and I'll go, oh, sorry, did I put my back to you? And I'm just hyper, and it almost drives me a little crazy. I'll tell you, Crystal, just a little bit crazy, because um, I'm hyper noticing it, because that's one of my flaws. That's one of my personality flaws. So I work on it.
You have awareness around it though, right? You might not have always had awareness, like, and when you're speaking, I feel like you're speaking directly to me and my entire story where, sharing my age, I'm 36, but I really didn't start connecting with myself, and I was bullied growing up. And looking at now relationships and everything that you're saying, it's like all these little light bulbs coming into my mind. And what I'm resonating a lot with is it starts with us modeling the behavior. And in order to teach these children, we got to be doing the do, right? And you put it so beautifully where, yes, we make mistakes, we're not perfect, and we acknowledge and learn from each experience, where I don't have a filter. I'm learning now to stop, to take a breath, to think. But that's all that learning of that stop, right?
Yeah.
Whereas before, it's just like, and I never realized I might have been offending somebody, or like you mentioned, it could have been rude. But in my mind, that's just, it's like, here I am, right?
Aren't you all happy I'm here? Because I'm so fun. It's like, yeah, but somebody else was on the fun platform, like they were on the fun box, and now you took away their fun. Yeah. Let them rise them up, lift them up, laugh at their joke, ask more questions. Even if you spend a whole night never being the spotlight, and that's what I've really been doing, especially lately. I don't know, I'm really, really growing, and I'm a lot older than you. And I'm in a heightened sense of personal growth around these relationships, and the weird thing is, as a teenager, I had the same feelings and the same challenges. And now at 55, I'm like, they never go away, those challenges. So you could try to push them aside, but trust me, they're always going to rear their ugly heads, So that's interesting. And I like what you just, I like that it's speaking to you. And about role modeling, kids learn most by observing you. That's it. They are watching and they are learning, and you are role modeling, and that goes for the teachers. I used to go back into class, when I was, maybe the day before I lashed out at someone who was pissing me off, and I'd go in and I'd say, and I'd start the day off and I go, I have to tell you all something. I'm not proud of myself. I'm not proud of myself. And I'd cry in front of my students. I don't give a shit. Pardon me, everyone. I swear. Anyways, I don't give a crap. I revealed my vulnerability to them. And what they saw was, here's someone they respect. Mm-hmm. Here's someone they like listening to and like, being in my class, right? Other kids they've heard liked me, enjoy my class. So here I am strong. They were scared of me at the beginning, because you start off as a teacher always playing like you're stronger, like you're tough. It's just a thing you do. You just do that in the first 2 weeks. It's like a thing, and it really works. But anyway, that's a whole other lesson. And so then they go, oh, she's strict, right? Because it was drama. If I didn't come off as strict and setting a safe space and having zero tolerance for, people treating each other poorly in my room, then I couldn't have there wouldn't be good acting, and people wouldn't really thrive.
Absolutely.
And then when they see this strong character come on stage, and, it was always a staging, it's drama. And I'd say, I am really ashamed of myself, because yesterday you saw it all. I yelled at so-and-so, and I apologize to you. That wasn't right. And I apologize to everyone. That's not the kind of person I want to be, and I'm working on it. And then they'd be like, it's okay. I said, thank you, and let's move on. And that's all an adult has to do.
You're teaching and modeling accountability. And I'm finding that at this day and age, I would say parents' generation, there was no accountability. It's very, very rare. And then seeing in my generation and the generations below, it's something that is really missing. So to hear that you stand up there, you're showing your vulnerable side, recognizing these behaviors, sharing that outward through the class, they're soaking it all up, going like, okay, if she can do it, I can do it. I just really think that's so inspiring to own that piece for sure.
Yeah. An old school way would be, no, this is it. My word is law. I am the powerful one here. And if I step down off of my podium, you know, or my soapbox, then they're not going to respect me. That's not true.
Absolutely.
It's not true. Human, just be human. They learn from your humanity.
Absolutely. Changing gears a bit, how can learning various ways of communicating help young people improve their social relationships?
Okay, so there's, you know, anyone who has been to therapy or, you know, watches shows on therapy learns of different ways to say stuff. So when a kid says, "You're making me feel bad," what they're saying is, you have the power to make me feel a certain way. Where's the accountability and agency over your own emotions for, I'm reacting to something you are saying? So that's not true. You're making me feel bad keeps the power on the other person, gives them all this responsibility, might make them feel bad, right? Saying, I don't want to make you feel bad, but there's another way to communicate. So of course, speaking in the I feel put down when you exclude me from this sports team, when you're picking a pick and you know I'm good and you do that. I'm feeling like you're not seeing my worth. So you could already feel the power in the words. And notice something else, Crystal. It's all about vulnerability. And maybe we think vulnerability equals weakness, but my God, vulnerability is the ultimate in strength. Now, a lot of kids, they wouldn't feel comfortable saying stuff like that. So, but basically just make sure that you speak in the I and you say, you know, I don't like when you do that, but be cool. If it's like, I don't like when you do that, all whiny, it's weak. So even though you feel whiny inside and your habit is to be whiny, practice. So I get kids to, who are being victimized, go home, come up with some ways of standing and looking and practice in their mirror. Say, I don't like the way, look in your own eyes and go, I don't like the way you're treating me. Practice, practice, practice out loud. You could even film yourself saying something to someone, you know, and then watch it and go, oh, I tilted my head. If I tilt my head, it's a sign of weakness. So there's certain things, and women do it a lot. Women go, oh, like if you go for a job, if you're trying to get more money in a job, right? You know, at work. The men don't, the men go, and I'm not saying all men, but for the most part, men's communication style is to go and go, this is what I want. I want 25,000 more because here's how I'm bringing money into the business. It makes a lot of sense to me. Then the boss says, well, you know, things have been tough. It's COVID, and, you know, we're having a less of a stream of income, and we already gave a raise to so-and-so. Now the man goes, well, I have to have something to keep me here. The woman goes, I know things have been tough, right? We are trained to be more kind. We're trained to be nice. We're trained to be compassionate for the most part. And so tilting your head equals, and unfortunately, a lot of times it's a sign of weakness. It's too bad, right? So I train in communication and just watch your physical and watch your tone and watch your eye contact and sit there and say it and be still. Very hard. We want to keep talking because, no, do what I say. You know, I'm going to keep talking. If I stop talking, then God knows what's going to happen. So many different things, right? Don't be afraid of silence. Say something with an even tone. Practice it. And when it comes to being bullied, if you go and some kids say that wouldn't work. I'm not saying anything totally works. When I work with kids, I get them coming up with the things that they think would work. And then I get them practicing together. And because if I'm older, I'm an old lady, so if they
Oh, you're not.
but you know what I mean, like I have the answers, but I'm not them.
Absolutely. And part of
Sometimes
them creating the solution, they're more bought into the process.
that's it. They have to do it, but I get them to think it out, to analyze, to come up with different ways of saying things and to practice it. And then all of them to go, and I go, would that work? And they go, yeah, I think that would. And we're like, cool. But all this stuff happens when we're working together and coming up with solutions. And that's number one, you're dismantling the very reason I'm there, which is the way kids are treating each other and mean things they say or do. Now we're bringing it out in the open. We're putting a mirror up and going, so this is how you guys are? You see it? Okay. Now, don't you see? Nothing after this, it might be solved. Because now we just took the power out of all of those situations because we're talking about it and we're showing it and we act it out. Acting, I believe, is the answer, you know. And then we're having fun with it. We're dismantling the power that other kids are using by going, you're fat, you're this. And I go, you're fat? Is that the best you could do? And so I have kids coming up with snappy comebacks. Is that the best you can do? And we all laugh and we're going, now we're making fun of the insult. That's what we want to get to.
Yeah.
And then by practicing it when they are together, now they've practiced these different ways of saying things, these different ways of responding, right? Like, you know, your mother's this and go, yeah, well, you know, she's crazy like that, I guess, you know, or, but she loves me, you know, call her nuts, but she loves me. And then when they could fake it, and people don't like this fake it till you make it, but I do think it works. I've seen it work. So I think it does work. So, and just to say things in a certain way in your power, to not head tilt, to not raise your voice, to not go too high pitched, to speak slower, slow it down, to make eye contact, and to communicate effectively. And sometimes it's a matter of, I don't want you to call me that name anymore. What do you mean, blah, blah, blah? And then you could go, what do you mean, blah, blah, blah? Seriously, are you 3? What are you doing? I don't want you to call me that name anymore. And just be quiet. Now, or walk away, because it's scary. And just walking away could work. So what you're doing is now you're not reacting in the way that used to work and make them happy. Right? Absolutely. And so that works. The bully, or the bully, I don't even like the word, because nobody like once you call someone a bully, then now, I'm the tough one, I'm the bully, okay, I'll own that, you know, what the heck. And the parents oftentimes of kids who are bullies tend to be a little like that too. Mm-hmm. So they're proud a little. That's why the parents of the bullies they rarely go for help. They're like, at least my kid's the bully. But your kid, yeah. But your kid is not forming healthy relationships.
Absolutely.
And healthy relationships is what makes people happy and improves health and longevity. Right?
And so many benefits.
And so many things. Yeah. So it's not just this identity thing right now. It's a habit of communication and relationships that's not healthy. You asserting power. Like the president of the United States, an ultimate bully. If you want to know what a bully is, that would be him. He exudes, like anytime he's insulted, he lashes out, he insults, he's using his power, poorly. It's a shame when he could seriously be lifting people up. Ooh, to be in that position of power. Imagine the good you could do.
Absolutely. Beautifully put. Imagine the good you can do.
Yeah, and I say to the kids who are like that, I'm like, you are powerful. There's something about you that is a leader. You are a natural leader. You're powerful. Imagine if you used your power for good. Imagine if you used your power for good. How would you feel gazing into your own eyes at the end of the day? Man, you'd be proud of yourself. I dare you to change it up.
So
you
beautiful.
know?
You make it sound so simple, and
I know it's not.
no, but it's beautiful that they can act it out and they can test that voice.
Yeah, yeah.
When I look at young children, and I'm working with children from 0 until 5 or 6, I mean, what do we teach them at a young age? Stop. That's a simple word, right? Stop. And it's like getting them comfortable with finding their voice to say stop, right? And those simple techniques, but to hear, bringing it into the class or even teaching it in drama, and when they get to just completely be the bully, be the victim, they can feel what it feels like on each side. And I think that awareness allows them to choose, how do you want to feel? How do you want to act? How do you want to be? And I really think that, every child should go through an exercise, or parents to build that awareness, because there's a lot of times where stuff happens. And even as a parent, I'm like, or I find that all of a sudden it's brewing inside of me where, I want to stand up for my kid and, teach this kid a lesson, like, pick on someone your own. So I get this like brewing inside of me, and it just brings up me being bullied as a child too. So then I'm working through my emotions, trying to, model positive behavior for my child and give him the tools. So this conversation has definitely really been helpful for me personally. And I'm pretty sure all of our listeners has been very helpful for them too. So where can we find you, Jodi?
So, and I also wanted to say one more thing about that. The parents want, and then I'll tell you, the parents really do want to solve it. And the parents do have to stop and breathe and ask questions of the kid. Just ask questions. Say, if you could dream of a solution, what would it be? And try to get the kid to come up with ideas rather than you give the ideas, the solution. And so get them to problem solve. And also, you have to tell kids they have choice. I know you feel like you don't, but you have choice in your friendships. And some people, they're just not your friend. They're not on your side. And it's not you. It's not your team. It's not a good teammate. Like, it's just not. That person might not be a good for you. And so you're allowed to unchoose them.
Absolutely.
You're allowed not to spend time with them.
It just continues to give them that power to
yes.
What
they have choice in there. And I tell kids, you might not find your people now in elementary school. You might find your people in high school or even in college or work. You don't know where your people are, but you will find them. But you don't have to be around people who are not your people. You'll find your people, the ones that you feel really safe with, and they're out there. Everybody has people. And even if it's one best friend, that's fine. Or if it's your family, perfect, wonderful. Doesn't matter, but you'll find them. Okay, where you could find, and I'm glad that I could help. Okay, you could find me. I'm Imperative Education, right? Imperative means like, stuff you need to learn. Imperative Education is my website, imperativeeducation.org. And then I do workshops for parents, for teachers, for kids, for businesses on leadership, team building, community building, mindful relationship practices, bullying, mindfulness, and social emotional learning. For educators, the social emotional learning is very popular, and teachers seem to really like it because I was a teacher for so many years full time. They like the fact that I really understand, and I'm not giving them any ideas that they couldn't actually try for real in the classroom or virtually, right? And when I was a teacher, there were people who came and spoke to teachers, and I was like, yeah, when was the last time you were in a classroom? So while there's so much great lessons from people who have not been teachers, I think that one of the powers is what I give is that I really understand people and kids and groups and all of that. And all I want is to make a positive impact. That's why I got into the profession in the first place. So that's it, Then there's Imperative Education on YouTube, right? And I have some videos there that you could immediately access and show your kids or use yourself, teachers and all that. You'll see, and I have inspiration. There's different sections in my YouTube for teachers to really feel some comfort and support from, because we often feel so alone, so autonomous, so isolated as a teacher, which people don't understand if they're not teachers, but you do, because you're the one adult in the room. It could be so isolating. So there's that. A feeling of connection. And then imperative education on Instagram. I'm sharing a lot of stuff there. And then I'm on TikTok, imperative education, just because I'm trying to reach people with content. Beautiful. You know, even little ideas on how to like yourself more, or just little things that people are like, oh, like kids have said, it was so cute. So one of my former students follows me, like many of them do. And one kid said on TikTok, wow, I wish you were my teacher. And my former student said, she was mine and she was great. And it was like, are you kidding me? Like, you're like, what? Like, seriously? That's like a standing ovation. That's what that is. So that's so nice.
Well, you're right. And that hits that generation where they will continue to learn from you based on that experience that they've had, right? It's a positive experience. They've built the relationship, and now there's that trust there where they want to continue. So I think it's brilliant you're on TikTok.
You have to do everything, right? What else am I on? And Facebook, I have my imperative education page. Please, follow it, and I'm sharing content there. I share impactful videos and information, or watch this little clip, or think about this, and just like real inspiration to keep going in the work we're all doing, to be better people, to be better leaders, right? In our own life and in the life, for others.
I love that. Now, I know you've put together a little, free 30-minute kind of touch point with anyone that's interested in coming on. So we'll put some information below with everything that you've mentioned, with your links and so forth. And what can we expect? Like, if your parents like, you know what, Jodi, I just really want to have a quick conversation with you. What would that look like?
Well, I would just ask, listen, I get someone talking, and let's be honest, people like to talk for the most part. So I would ask a bunch of questions, particularly if it's dealing with how they're dealing with their teenager. Yeah. Let's go into that. So I'm always going to be tapping into the person talking to me, So what is that doing to you? So how do you react when this happens? So what is one thing you always say? When are they coming to you for advice? What do you tend to do? If I'm talking to the teenager themselves, then I'm just going to say, so what's been going on? How you feeling? And then just say, so who's like, what's good? What's working?
Yeah.
In your life, what have you tried to change that you changed and you were so thrilled with yourself and surprised? Who are your role models? What is it about them that you really look up to? What are the characteristics in them? Is there any way that you could find a way to build that within yourself? I find that very powerful.
More of less a discovery call to see.
It's really that.
Yeah, where they're needing.
It's always that.
Absolutely.
We have to see where the person's at, and I have a certain skill when it comes to my friends, when it comes to strangers, when it comes to young people, old people, it doesn't matter. People tend to open up to me. And if I have to share a vulnerable thing myself to show them that this is safe, and that there's no judgment, and that I'm so flawed, please, and that we all are, and that noticing these flaws with courage and going, okay, what's one tiny step maybe I can take, to move in the right direction, a direction I'm more proud of, that I feel like I'm putting some work into, then that's what I offer. And I always give them a practical thing to do,
yes,
to try, but I don't overwhelm, because most of the time we're looking at all of it and going, it's too big, I can't. I'm just not going to do anything. So I like to give a tiny little thing, an action plan, because my business model is imperative education, learning through experience. So it's about, when you try something practical, and I'm a big proponent of practical, try something, try a new action, a way of saying something, a new thing you do, a little thing, and then notice at the end of a little while, oh, that's making a difference. Now, what's the next thing you could try? So let's not overwhelm with it all. It's all so much, so big, it's just gigantic. You have the galaxy in your head. Really, it's just so big. So let's just do this little action. And then it usually works. They go, oh, I tried that one little thing. And, I was less reactive. I was happier. I was calmer. So that's usually what I do. I never leave without telling someone to do something because I'm a teacher and I believe in action. I really do.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for your time that you put together to meet today. And I look forward to connecting with you soon, Jodi. Thanks so much.
So great seeing you, Crystal. Thank you so much for doing this summit and for doing the work you're doing. And I wish you great luck and with everything, including your mothering.
Thank you.